Here is a picture of old Usopp, brothers and sisters. Just kind of thought I'd change it up a little bit over here and give you a little bit of variety since we've been seeing a lot of old Sir Crocodile. So if you like this type of drawing and more, remember to follow me on all the social networks. One Piece, Chapter 172, Rebellion.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the tantalizing and epic tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw the shit starting to hit the fan and Operation Utopia starting to kind of come to fruition, be unleashed. We saw Koza getting shot, of course, the leader of the rebels in Nanohana by Mr. Two and his royal army, he was posing, of course, as King Cobra, and then, of course, there was a giant ship that came crashing in towards the end, which was caused by Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger, and really just not looking very good here for us. This is kind of like that, I wouldn't even say the calm before the storm, like this is the storm coming and like not being able to stop that, stop it coming from the death and destruction that's going to follow. So that's how things left off. That's how things start over here. The apparent royal army, which was, of course, just they're just in disguise. They're part of the billions of the Baroque Works agents. Started to set fire to the city, and everybody's running around trying to put the fire out. Of course, wondering about this big ship that crashed in, how that happened, and then we see Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger, of course, talking about how they're basically talking about how. Now the only thing that needs to happen is, Alubarna is next, and they need to, rely on Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas, of course, their team, taking care of what they're supposed to take care of, which is capturing the king, King Cobra. It all happens within the first few pages. We wind up seeing a number of different things. The young child that wanted to join Koza's rebellion several chapters back, and then Koza saw a lot of himself in him and basically told the kid to screw off. There's a lot of death and destruction that comes with this. This kid winds up going down an alley and seeing Mr. Two Bonclay, who's just, he's just kind of a fruity dude. I mean, obviously we know at this point what he is and how he acts and everything like that, but he's just kind of dancing around and he's just like, oh, it's so funny. Even the king, nobody knows what the king is the king and I'm a queen. And, and he's just dancing around and he just kind of cracks me up, he's just dancing swans, and all that sort of thing. So, but what winds up happening is the kid winds up seeing that it's actually not King Cobra. He's like, the king is a queen? What the hell? We've all been tricked. So as the kid's going to run to tell her, he's like, I gotta tell everybody, right? Boom, he bumps into Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger. And, of course, they're not gonna let him leave. So they wind up, beating the shit out of the kid and leaving him, near death. And then some citizens come, they're trying to put out the fires, this and that, everybody's trying to see if Koza's okay. They go to help the kid, and they're like, oh my God, are you okay? Did the Royal Army do this to you? And he's like, no. And he's trying to explain, and they're like, what, nosebleed? You got a nosebleed? And he's just like, no, you've all been tricked. And he's trying to explain to them, right? And then they're like, oh, the hospital's burning down. Kid, don't worry, we'll get you a doctor. And nobody's listening to him, So, but he holds the key to telling everybody, no, don't, it's not that, it's not the king, right? And so we, obviously we see that, and of course just him trying to let them know, and nobody listening to him, just because there's a lot of commotion going on. We then see Koza, who has been shot, of course, and is wounded. He's kind of getting picked up, and he's like, now it is time, amass everybody. We have to go to Alubarna. We're gonna attack. This is gonna be our final push. This is too much. He's gone too far, and everybody's like, yeah, but we still don't have enough weapons and this and that. Well, convenient enough. The giant freighter that crashed into the harbor, lucky enough for the rebels, happened to be a weapons freighter from the armory that is carrying weapons. And Koza looks at it as like, oh, it's fate, right? And actually, it was just a cleverly devised plot point by Crocodile. Hey, listen, the rebels need some more. They need something to push them, and then they also need some weapons. What better way than to set the city on fire and have a big fucking boat crash in with weapons, So it really all kind of comes down to that. We then go and we see, and that's probably about the first half of the chapter. Then we get a few pages actually showing us Alubarna, the capital, right? And of course the king has been missing since last night, so clearly he has been captured by Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas. And we see everyone kind of coming and talking, some of the different aides and things like that, talking to Chaka and going, what are we gonna do? Because Chaka's basically like, no, there's no way the king would have done that. He's not there. And they're like, listen, the timeline coincides. People saw him there. This is what happened. The rebels are starting. There's riots everywhere. People are coming for the capital, and the rebels are coming. And basically, what are we going to do? You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter what you believe at this point. This is what's happening, right? So Chaka's just like, damn it, you know? And he's like, because he's thinking in his mind, you know, what would the king want me to do if only the king were here? So Chaka's just like, all right, you know what? We're going to do what we're supposed to do. We're going to defend Alabasta, right? Okay? We were going to fight for Alabasta, and if people come to try to harm us, even if they're our own countrymen, you know, regardless, we're going to defend our country, right? So, you know, take up arms, everybody get ready to fight, you know. So Crocodile's plan is really a clever one, just to turn the country on itself, because here, I mean, the rebels and, you know, everybody from the Royal Army and the Royal Guard, they both think that they're fighting for Alabasta, for their country, right? You know, they're both fighting for what they think is the same thing, but their minds have been twisted around and turned around, so it's really kind of sad, but at the same time, it's just a very clever, you know, deceitful, devious plan. So then the last few pages of the chapter wind up taking place back in the Rain Dinners Casino, back at Rain Base, and we see, of course, you know, our heroes who are locked up in the you know, Straw Hats being locked up in the cage, minus Vivi, of course. She's out there. She's been tied up, and basically, you know, this is the part where Crocodile is kind of like does his evil guy monologue, and he talks about how, you know, this is happening, the plan is going, the country is turning itself, you know, is going to tearing itself apart, and everyone's doing it in the name of the country, right? In the name of freedom, in the name of Alabasta, you know? So it's just, so Vivi's like, you know, you sick son of a, you know? And even Luffy's like, yeah, if I could get out of here, man, I would just stick my foot so far up your ass, you know? I would give you gum enema, you know? But anyway, that's a move for another time. So, and if that one hasn't been used yet, I'll have to put that one in Oda's suggestion box. So, you know. But, you know, we wind up having, again, a little bit of banter between them, and Vivi is like, she literally is just, even though she's tied up, she just has so much, you know, passion for her country that she goes and, like, throws herself on the ground with her chair, and she's, like, trying to scoot. I don't know if she's trying to, like, get to the cage to let Luffy and them out, and he's like, what are you doing, you know? And she's like, I gotta get to Alubarna, you know? If I can get there in time, and they're showing the map on where the rebels are coming, and where the, you know, where everybody's going, and how it's gonna intercede, and basically everybody's gonna wind up clashing and be this huge war. And she's like, if I can get there, I can still stop it. She's still trying to, you know, be this future queen, this princess of this country, and stop this needless loss of life, right? Because there's, I mean, it's one thing when there's, you know, there's a protagonist and an antagonist, but it's another thing when you have two sets of good people that have been turned against each other by lies and deception, and they're attacking each other, they're beating each other up, and they really shouldn't be, you know. So this really was, all in all, a very, very good chapter, I think. We wind up getting at the end of the chapter, Crocodile says, well, that's where we're going. You're welcome to come with us if you like. However, he goes and takes the key, and they're like, oh, that's the key to the cage, and he goes and throws it on the floor, and a convenient trap door opens up, and it goes down into where these banana gators are, or his pet banana gator. It goes down into the water, and he's basically just like, oh yeah, so it's down there, and you know, if you want to come join us, it's your choice. Now she's tied up, of course, and the only one that could go and get this thing. Now, the one thing I want to mention real quick here, and this is going to be the wild card in my opinion, is Chopper. Because Chopper went off to take a piss right before they all had to run out. So he's the only one that's not in the cage right now, other than Vivi. So my, you know, whole thought process here and prediction is that, you know, Crocodile's going to go, he leaves the key down there, Vivi can't get down, whatever, and Chopper goes and finally comes upon them and is able to find them and help to rescue them. So that is kind of my thought and prediction on there. Don't know if it's right or not, but we shall see. So, my chapter question, that's how things wrap up, and certainly, like I said, it was just kind of a cool one because it showed us from different fronts what's going on and how this rebellion is starting and everything else. So, and certainly how the plan is coming together for Crocodile, this Operation Utopia. So my chapter question is, you know, who do you think is going to save them? Is it Chopper? Do you think Vivi's going to be able to come to the rescue? Do you think that even though Pell the Falcon, I know he was defeated earlier by Miss All Sunday, but as we know with most characters in the One Piece universe, they don't die. He was just injured. Is he going to come and save the day? For those of you, of course, that know, I don't know if the question is as fair to you. You're welcome to answer it if you like. But, you know, or try to answer it from, you know, be the devil's advocate and try to answer it from the perspective of where I'm coming from. I haven't read the next chapter. So who do you think's going to save him? I mean, if you were in my shoes, if you hadn't read that, who would you think would be the most likely choice to save him? So remember, brothers and sisters, to leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you think that I deserve it. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
As always, thank you so much for watching, brothers and sisters, subscribing, sharing, and liking, and commenting, and just spreading the word and bringing others into the nation. Booga booga.